Well, here we go again. I just got a new piece of freshly acquired crap into the garage, and I'm trying to figure out how I let this happen. So when you're at an auction, you should be asking yourself three basic things. First is, do you really need the item that you're bidding on? You know, that's fairly important. Second, do you have a way to get it home? Transport. Third, is the price going so cheap that all previous questions are null? And that's pretty much how we ended up with this. Now it's old, and it's a two-stroke, so generally that's enough just, for me to buy it. I kind of have a few of these laying around already. Don't really need another unless you're going for spare parts, which is definitely key. However, when this thing went for $5, well, I put in a bid of $5 and nobody else even bid on it. I was happy to drag it home. So what you're looking at is a nicely aged and patinaed Jiffy Ice auger. Guessing it's the regular old standard 3-horse, and it actually came in a 8-inch auger bit variant this time. Usually I seem to get the 10-inch ones and then have to cut them down by hand. So yeah, looks like this thing's been sitting in a barn for quite a while, and I'm sure it's going to take some work, but heck, it rolls over, so I bet we can get it running. Oh yeah, that passes a compression test. You know it's of a good vintage when you don't even have a muffler on the exhaust. It's basically just a diverter. I mean, for $5, how do you pass this thing up? It's an old Model 30. It's a classic. I mean, these are some of the best ice augers ever made. They're not the lightest by any means, but heck, they're usually dependable. They get the job done, and they're built like a tank. Now the blade's got a little bit of rust on it, so we'll have to give that a sharpening before it ever goes out on the active ice duty. If we ever get ice around here. That's the only shiny part left on there. So we tried to get the, we achieved getting the pin out of here, but the auger bit won't slide off the shaft, so got it soaking in oil. It would have made life easier to work on this thing without the drill attached to it, but whatever, we'll just leave it on there. Now I like how the gear case down here has the old one-arm bandit handle cast into it for it. Apparently they had to switch it up to the later model style handles here for lawsuits, but we still got one of the old one-arm bandits in action. It's actually my regular, that's my stock ice auger I take out ice fishing, and it definitely keeps people from wanting to borrow it. Now in the last couple of augers I've redone, I actually slapped on a Chinese-made little Tillotson carburetor. A little bit easier to tune, and gives you a nice little performance boost. This one still has the old stock Tecumseh carb, and we're probably going to let it go and try to use it. I might have a couple spare parts laying around for it. I don't really feel like investing, $10 into a $5 auger, so we'll have to work with what we got. And we'll clean out the carb real quick. Alright, check this out. These are some Christmas beers I got this year, and I don't mean this Christmas. They're actually last year's Christmas beers that my uncle had actually set out in a cooler like a year ago, and then forgot about them in a cooler, I guess, all year long. And they somehow survived until this year when he went to refill the cooler for the holiday. And he was going to throw them out, but then he said, heck, I know somebody that would have won them. And I was like, heck yeah, and there we go. I mean, they might have been heat cycled a few dozen times, but once you blow the dirt off them, they're still good. Now I'm slightly afraid to see what's in the gas tank, because it's plastic. I'm going to regret this, but how bad can it be? There's actually liquid in there. Well, being that it is liquid, I guess it can be dumped out. Probably should do that. I think by smell test, I would say that's between 3 to 5 years, maybe. Not terrible. I mean, one good thing is that nasty gas in there has kept the cork gaskets swelled up. I mean, we could try to throw some gas in this thing and see if it runs, but where's the pain and suffering in that? I actually heard something clunking around inside the tank, so it might be the little filter pickup or who knows what. And odds are with that rancid gas, we're going to need to go over the carburetor a little bit anyways. And yeah, we'll just give it a quick, 25-cent once over, and we'll go from there. It's coming apart now. I could use a little bit of oil. Yeah, it looks like there's still paint on those threads. I don't think the carburetor's ever been taken off. I mean, I hope it doesn't hurt the resale value. Well, it might be kind of hard to see, but it looks like there were some mud wasps in there. They filled the whole carburetor up. So, yeah, this is one of those times where it's better to just take things apart and give it a thorough once over before ever even trying to start it. Hopefully there wasn't any dirt that got in through the reed cages there. We'll make sure we clean that out. That should get it. I'm telling you, man, other than honeybees, every one of those stinging insects, they can bite me. Another great thing about these Tecumseh motors is the fasteners. So like, they don't give you Phillips head. They know that the slotted are terrible, so they just give you like twice as many. So when you strip out one, you've at least got a second chance. Wow, that diaphragm, that is so hard. Yeah, that's solid. There's no way that was working. It's like an oil can. Booyah. Alright, we got parts. Well, thanks to those wasps, we had to pop out the Welsh plug there and clean things out. Probably going to leave the needle and seat in there for now, since usually the originals are better quality. If it starts flooding out, then we'll throw in the aftermarket one that we got in the kit. So there we go. Carburetor's back on. I want to take any bets on if that's the last time it's off there? Probably not. Yeah, spark plug's pretty respectable. I mean, it's got to be less than 80% fouled, so still good to go. Well, it turns out we have a no spark condition, so looks like we're taking the top off. Should probably clean some of that out. There's a tricky one. We got to take out that eye bolt there before we can actually take the fan shroud off. Alright, we got some Christmas nuts. I was going to make a joke about using the puller and the proper way to take this flywheel off, but they didn't even thread the holes, so I guess we got to use the old hammer and the pry bar. And we're in. Just like that. Alright, well, we just cleaned the points with some sandpaper and blew them off with compressed air, and bam, we got a spark. Oh, we got the fuel tank back on. New piece of fuel line that was just laying in the scrap pile, and alright. We're going to put some gas to her and see what happens. Alright. I guess that's choke. Give it a few primes. Pulls over a little bit stiff. Yeah, maybe it's all them stink bugs in there. Seems to leak a little bit when we prime it. Oh. Uh-oh. Maybe she's flooded. Huh. Throttle doesn't seem to be very responsive. Bump up the throttle speed a little bit. Give it a little bit more on the low end. Bam.